Hi, Mary. How are you?
Great, great. How are you? I like your sweater. Really
Thank
cute.
you. Thank you. I'm doing good at the start. I am obsessed with the kind of the dynamics in this movie between like how creepy it can be and then mixed with like cutting to this family who just like does not believe anything that's happening.
Exactly.
Um, but
Yeah.
getting to kind of be that light humor in a movie that does have these darker moments, but it's the joy for you of getting to play a character just like who doesn't like I just love that their thing is they're like, sure, dude.
I know. It's really it is really it's so fun to play. It's so fun to play off Jake in that kind of dynamic because he is such a magnetic and committed actor, and it's really fun to play a person who's witnessing someone be so passionate and so level-headed about this extreme situation he's in, and then to get to come in with a just a hard no, just like do not believe it at all, not even for a second do we entertain that it might be true, and that's really fun comedically to play.
Well, yeah, and I do like that it is your partner in it who ends up being stuck in a bathroom with him. And like it's
Right.
like there's just so many little things that it's so funny to go back to this family. And I when I spoke to Emily, she said that she was the only one who sent like notes upon notes when asked about like their characters. And so
Yeah.
but with this movie that is, it's Jake Johnson, we know it's supposed to be a comedy. We know it has all these different levels to it. How much of that did you guys, I know you guys got to kind of like build with your characters, but how much of it did you
Totally.
go into like knowing you wanted to improvise like this or how you wanted her to be in these
Yeah.
kind of scenes?
Well, when I auditioned for the movie, it was with Jake, and we had a long conversation about my character and the family in general. But he really knew what he wanted for this character and for that family dynamic. And I think for my character, through those conversations with Jake, it was really clear who she was, and so it made it very easy to show up on set and to just jump right in and get to play within those really specific and outlined boundaries. Yeah. Uh, and because for her, I think I really saw Amy as she has stepped into a parental role in this family. Her mom isn't the most strong-willed person. She has a hard time putting her foot down. She is not a disciplinarian. And when their dad left, I think Amy really stepped into that role with everybody in the family.
Yeah, and to get into slight spoilers, but speaking on that, one of my favorite parts of this movie is when he comes and is like, yeah, and then dad showed up and they all are like, what are you talking? Like, go back, like,
Yeah.
explain that. And then it gets even more outlandish because he has to explain how their father in that point got there.
And then,
With,
yeah, exactly. And it feels
but,
almost, it's emotional. It's emotional
mm-hmm.
for all of us, where it's like, well, what are you talking about? Like this, now you're messing with our feelings as a family. Like now it's not just about you. Now it's all of us involved
Mm-hmm.
in this. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it is too the with those stakes so high though it ends up being funny too. 'Cause it cuts to everyone. You can just like see all of their faces when you guys are out in a lot of ways like partially the audience's perspective. Because like while we get to see the game things, we also are still like, is this really happening to you? Like what's going on? Like I don't
Exactly.
necessarily believe it. How do you guys kind of work to like make those moments so strong? Because they are all so funny when it cuts back to the family all just sitting in a line.
Right. I mean, I think that it 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 sort of just I think we as a family had a vision of Tommy where we knew he had gone through a really hard breakup. And that he was stuck in his life and had been for a long time. And so I think we just, without a doubt, came in seeing it as a cry for help. Like there's almost
Mm.
no other way to see it in our eyes. It's not even, there's no possibility that this is actually true. This is our brother sort of flailing and needing help, and it's a cry for help. And so I think that kind of doubtlessness with the family, that sort of we know what we're looking at here, that clarity of perspective made that sort of contrast really easy to play. Because yeah, you're with Tommy, you see the action, you see him being hunted, you see his reality, and then you see us in what we know to be our reality, and they're so contrasted that it's inherently really comedic. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I what I like about this movie is like I keep saying it's very niche, but then not, because it's like you have your comedy nerds who are gonna go into this being like, yeah, I want to see all of these comedy legends and like Jake Johnson's first
Yeah.
directorial
Yeah.
like adventure. And then you also have like people like me who I read The Most Dangerous Game in school and was like just
Yes.
obsessed with it.
That's how I feel. That's oh my gosh, it's so funny you say that, because when I read the script, that's the first thing I thought of, was that
Mhm.
short story that has stuck with me since I read it in high school. I loved it. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny you say that. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, like, but and so it's like I felt like a weird part of the middle Venn diagram of like, well, I'm a comedy nerd, like I did UCB, and now, and I also love Most
Yeah,
Dangerous Game. So like for me, but I do think it has a very universal quality too. So like, what do you kind
totally.
of hope audiences take away from this movie when they get to see it? Because I do hope it's more universal than like
Yeah.
initially thinking going in.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is really universal. And to your point, I think it does, it sort of is a genre of its own. It pulls from it is a comedy, it is an action movie, it's a thriller, it's a relationship movie, it's it's like a coming of age in a way. So it's all these things that I think a lot of people, a wide breadth of people, are gonna find relatable and find, you know, something universal to take away in that story. But I think in what I hope audiences take from it is this idea that uh, sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone is challenging and maybe life threatening, but it leads to tremendous self discovery and healing. And so I think that that's a message that is absolutely universal. Taking risks, saying yes to opportunities, and getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and I do think too, it's I'm always very interested in how it is on a set when someone who wrote something is directing it and is also
Yeah,
starring in it, kind of navigates. And in talking with a lot of the cast with this, I can tell that it's like it helped because Jake was like right there in the scene. He could like tell you guys, like, hey, do this like this way and
totally.
like direct you in that way. Was that how was that as an actor kind of approaching it in that way versus like when you have a separate director who's behind the camera
Yeah.
in Video Village?
Yeah, there was no separation, and there also was no I it was really effortless the way that Jake took one hat off, put the other hat on. Like you almost didn't even feel it happening. It was just so seamless for him. He was so present in all of those roles that he was playing in that production. Um, and I totally agree that he was in the scenes with us, and so he had an understanding of how to communicate his notes or his thoughts in a way that was so immersed versus like being outside of it and having an idea that you want to communicate to your actors, and you have to like find a way to find the language for that. He was already in the scene with us, and so the language had been established, and then we could just kind of jump right in. So yeah, it was really organic, it was really fluid, the whole process.
Yeah, and for last question, I asked Daryl this yesterday, and he said it
Yeah.
had to be the bathroom scene for him. But for you, in this movie, that like I've been obsessed with the PA and the ninjas. Like every time I'm talking about this, I'm just like
So great.
them appearing is so funny, but so funny and creepy at the same time. But for you, what was your favorite thing to kind of film within a movie that like this that does have so many kind of different elements?
Yeah, I think my favorite moment it was either in the kitchen when we were meeting James for the first time,
Mhm.
and really sort of now there's a stranger involved, and the stranger is living in our mother's house. Like it made the whole thing, okay, this is no longer a joke.
Mhm.
This is now crossing a line, and that was really fun to play. And then I love the intervention scene too. That was such a fun scene. Everybody was firing on all cylinders, and Tommy, Jake's character, was truly at the end of his rope. And so it was fun to get to play off of that.
Yeah, I loved it so much. I need a James in my life because I love just
Same.
James is there. He's so supportive.
We all
But thank you
need
so much.
that Biff whiff. We really do.
We do.
He's
Uh,
brilliant.
thank you so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it, and I
Thank
can't wait for
you.
people to get to watch the movie.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course, have a great one.
You
Bye.